Hey guys, so I wanted to show a little bit about Dehaka, and Dehaka he's a global hero that is a little bit lower win rate, but he's a very strong bruiser that has globals, so you can utilize that by pushing the lane and then use your globals to join your team. Now, I want to do a 4 mistakes video on him, and normally I do 4 mistakes in try mode, but I found it was a little awkward for me to show what I was talking about in try mode because it's not a real map and you can't utilize the globals. So I'm just going to show you guys a full game, and I'm going to talk about the 4 major mistakes and probably fast forward through pieces of it. So one of the tricks I do on Diablo in Storm League, not necessarily competitive games, but or like anything crazy, is I'll clear up one lane and then I'll jump to another lane. This allows me to soak 2 different lanes and allows my full team to stay mid, possibly fight for a little bit, and they can deal with anything that they need to deal with. But this brings up one of the first mistakes on Dehaka that bothers me a lot, is when people go and they start their W as they're running up to a wave and they miss like 3 or 4 hits from their W. So if you can see, I walked into the wave and then I did W, and I'm also using my Q. And this is another mistake, is people don't use their Q enough for just the damage portion of it. So I immediately got all of the soak up at top lane, and then I jumped bottom, and now I'm able to get all the soak but 1 minion. This allows my teams to focus primarily on their lanes, and this actually works out really, really well in low rank games, because what happens is in low rank games you get people who stay mid the entire time. So if you can soak a full wave top and a full wave bottom in a low rank game, you almost get like half a level of experience on the enemies from just right in the beginning of the game. So right there, you can see I used my W a little early, and then I walked in. You need to make sure to walk in the wave, then use your W, so you get all of the value out of it. I would have killed that extra minion right there. Not a big deal, but it does certainly add up. So I really wanted to share those 2 major mistakes. The next mistake that I see way too often is people need to get to the opposite lane as the objective. So the next objective is spawning close to top, and I happen to already be in the opposite lane of the objective, but if I wasn't, I would have said this in teams. I would have said, going bot, walking there to save Z. And the reason why is I see too many people that they'll use their Z to get to the opposite lane of the objective, and then they won't have their Z available for the actual objective. Even in situations like that, I wouldn't use my Z to get over there. I'm not going to use my Z to soak top. I'm going to save my Z for the objective, or Z if you're Canadian or British. But yeah, I'm saving my global for the objectives, and it's really, really important. So I'm going to fast forward up to some of the objective points, and I want to share a couple other mistakes that are made as we're going through. So the next objective is spawning. I'm hiding in a bush because I want the Hanzo to leave, and then I'm going to start pushing. When you are playing Dehaka, there's too many people that I see that don't apply enough pressure to scare off the enemies. What's the point of being a global if you're not applying enough pressure? So you see I'm really just hitting the minions, getting my W's off, and let me see if I can unlock really quick and show. I'm actually watching up here right now. You see I'm not moving my mouse, and I'm Zing over here, and this is where I want to talk about where you should be using your globals. I see too many times where people will use a global in an area that's safe for them to jump in to join their team. But in reality, you should be using your global in a place that's going to set up a great team fight for your team. Now, I messed up a few times because I wasn't expecting them to go this far in and chase away my team. So this one ended up being a really bad place to use a global. But that's essentially my rule of thumb when I'm playing Dehaka, is to look for those situations where I can almost get, like, if I can Z in the middle of their team is the best, or if I can Z behind them, it's really good. But the challenge about Zing behind them is if they push forward into your team, you're probably just going to die. So right here, the next objective is also still closer to top lane. So they asked me, they say, do you have dig to go bottom lane? I don't. Actually, I do have dig, but I don't want to use it. So you see, I'm not using my dig right now. I'm walking all the way to bottom lane, and it's going to take me a while. But I want to walk there so I have my dig available for this next objective. If I would have used it to get bottom lane, I wouldn't have had it when I get there. So you can see it's a very big mistake that I see too many times, where people will just dig bottom lane, waste their dig. I don't really care if they go up top. That's why I'm not attacking anyone. I'm not trying to take a fight down here. I want to use our globals. We have a global. I want to use it. So I'm going to hang out back here, and I'm not going to let them get my health too low. I do actually use my trait because I have the talent that allows me to get minions back. And I'll go over an entire build on Dehaka so you guys can see what I recommend running. And you can see, this is where I'm mousing right now. I'm hiding in the bush down there, and I'm mousing over to see if we want to take a fight, but I actually want to be pushing a little bit. So I'm going to immediately start pushing, and then you're going to, again, we're still watching my camera right now. You can see my mouse is over here, and so I'm checking again. I'm like, wait, do we want to take this fight yet? And there we go. I'm digging into their team, into the back, and I'm going to immediately grab someone. I'm going to use my W. I'm going to auto attack. And then I'm going to just try to be as annoying as possible. Now, they get that, and it's annoying because we actually have a pretty decent fight here, including we burn their dragon. But they do get that first objective, and it does get pretty rough. We do get a couple kills, and just kind of go from there. So we go for a boss, and this is where I'm talking about this. Watch this. I'm using my drag, my tongue, just for the damage. It's extra damage, and you can lower the cooldown of it by auto-attacking. So I'm increasing the speed of us doing these by using those, my W and my Q. It's taking a lot of mana, but I don't really need this as much as my team because I can always back before I jump in if I need to, and I have a fountain available. So my team needs to run straight over the boss, and I've got my global available in 15 seconds. So that's really what we're doing right there, is we're just hanging out. Let me see if I can jump back to my camera. And once again, I use the drag on the turret. If I can destroy the turret faster, it means that the boss is going to be healthier for longer. So you see that I'm using the drag on structures. I'm using it for the extra damage, and I'm suddenly looking bot. I'm jumping bot, and I come in immediately, and I jump in on the Alexstrasza. I use my isolation really bad, which is going to bring up the next big mistake that I make more than I should, which is don't use your isolation or your Q just in the open. You want to try to use those when you're actually like getting something, like when someone's running to you while you're hiding in a bush, or you want to use it to follow up another CC. Just using it blindly will screw you more often than not. So we've had some rough fights so far, but I've still done essentially the right moves, other than a few mistakes here and there that I was able to show you this game. And this is why I chose this game, is because I did make some mistakes. I see the lava wave coming, and so this time I go for a pull just to keep him in the lava wave. But it's just kind of fun. But yeah, generally you're not gonna be able to land your drag on targets that you're fighting near unless you have the increased drag range, or unless they're chasing you, or maybe if you're at melee range and they don't realize that you're doing it. Outside of those three conditions, if you're out in the open, you're not landing your drag on anyone, which is why I usually recommend you use your drag for other reasons. Like you use it in a bush. So again, I'm checking down here, and I'm coming behind them again. Guys, there's so many bushes that were available all in these areas, and I chose the one that was behind them where they needed to go to escape, or I would have chose that one if I knew they were going to keep chasing. So this is what you want to be doing right there. And so I jumped in, landed a pull, we got a kill, we get another kill. Straightforward. They waste a gust, we go for a boss. And what do I do to speed up this boss? I used my W, and sometimes I use my Q. In this case, I'm saving my Q because I want to see if we can get a blizzard on her and get a kill. But Moves didn't have his blizzard up, which is fine. And so that's really what I'm doing with Dehaka, is I'm focusing primarily on getting value in the opposite lane. I'm not wasting my dig outside of areas that we're going for major fights, and I try to save it for objectives or for boss fights. Then we get in here, and I save my Q to follow up on things, rather than just using it blindly. In that case, I just used it for damage. But it stops you in place. Like your Q, you're going to miss most of the time if you just try to use it wide open. You'll see me miss it a few times too, so... And there is another gust. So I finished my quest, and I'll talk a little bit about the build that I recommend on Dehaka, which is tissue regen, so you can get the most amount of healing, as well as it gives you regen so you can heal yourself without needing to use this. Also I made this call. So these are the areas where I really like taking fights as Dehaka, and I make these calls a lot with my team because it's so much easier to land a drag when you're in a bush and someone's coming into that bush than it is to land a drag when they see you. So I make calls a lot like this when I play Dehaka, where people will walk into a bush and then I'll use a Q. In this case, it was against a wall, so I let the Diablo start with it, and then when he's done, I went for my drag. And that's pretty much what you go for when you're playing Dehaka is he's all about surprise. If that's going to make it the best way to explain Dehaka, he's all about surprise. So you need to surprise people in team fights, you need to surprise people in bushes, and try to always win fights with surprise. Because otherwise, he just doesn't do a lot of damage, and while he is a bruiser, he only has a lot of, like, I don't know, he's not a lot of damage, decent amount of tanking ability, and again, objective is going up there, so the first place I go is down here. But right as I realize, and this is probably like a 5th or 6th mistake, even though I'm saying 4th mistake, I'm up to like 5 or 6, don't overstay when you don't know where the enemies are. The global heroes, one of the biggest ways to counter a global hero is to go to the lane that you think the global hero is going to be in before the objective spawns and kill him while he's pushing, and then go to the objective. Because almost always the global hero is going to be on their own. So you see I left the lane when everyone went missing. And I'm still staying bot because the next objective is top. But I don't want to overstay or overpush here. So I'm just playing safe and I'm just watching for vision. So in this case, we're going against this Falstad. And he just kind of jumps through. He's heading down here, takes a few hits, but his team's going to end up saving him. So you see, I'm playing rather safe right now. I don't want to die, and you can see that's exactly what they're trying to do. By the way, this is a Storm League game. High-ranked Storm League game. Everyone in this game is either Masters. They're either High Diamond, Masters, or Grandmaster. So it's pretty serious, and that's what they did. Now the objective spawning, they're all going up there. Where am I going? I'm going to pressure bot lane. But we're still watching my camera right now. So you're going to see that while I'm going for bot and I really want to pressure this, I'm going to be checking at the objective very soon to see how it's going. So I'm mousing over here. I want to see where the next wave shows up, but I'm watching the minimap, and now watch. I'm immediately watching where everyone's going, and then I'm going to clear this wave, and I might even check back up while I'm clearing the lane. I'm going, okay, so where's the fight going and where can I be? Right now, the best dig would be right here. But if they hear me digging, they're going to back off. So I want to dig when like the fight is starting to at least commit a little bit more. And you can see I'm still watching, and I'm still clearing the lane. And I end up digging down here because I thought he would stay for longer. It ended up being a bad dig, but I still applied a lot of pressure bot. I forced that camp in pretty early, and we are able to get in here. I do miss my ISO again, which is pretty unfortunate, but we do get a lot off, and LCD plays really, really well. He was the Alexstrasza player, but even through all of his healing, we still are able to take out some people. The great part about Dehaka is you can usually heal through a lot. In this case, I do end up dying, but you can heal through a lot with your trait. You can dodge a lot of stuff with your E, and we've got a fight that just comes down to, I believe the Ragnaros comes in and gets a kill or two. And this pressure that I applied down at bot lane, you can see we took essentially a third of a keep during that objective because of what I did. And I start heading down here to stop them because they're going to see that we're doing our boss. So I just want to scare them. And this is the whole philosophy side of things, right? When you're strong, act weak. And when you're weak, act strong. So I see the Joanna and I pop out of the bush because I want her to get afraid that we're there. So I don't want her to start boss yet. Now that my team's on their way, I can play a little bit crazier and I can go for it. And I might even just isolate this, and I do. I isolate the, what's his name? Malthael, so that he doesn't know that my team just arrived. So he literally, they lost vision that the Malthael was giving, and Malthael walked right into my team. A little bit of a bait, and what do? So the tribute spawning, I pop my trait, and I go right back into clearing these. Now, I sometimes pop the trait early, before I collect all the minions to heal back up to full, and then I'll start collecting again. And to continue on the build that I go, because this game pretty much just is going to end here with this boss into Curse, I go one who collects, I go tissue regen to get that regeneration, as well as it gives me the trait. I go one who collects, so I get more of my trait off of minions. And this way I can, because most of the time I'm going to be alone, And then I go Feeding Frenzy, so I can do more damage to structures, as well as I can pull and CC more often in team fights. I go Isolation, because not only if you can land a good isolation, you can win a quick fight, because the enemies don't know if they should be going in or out of fights. And normally I isolate the tanks, purely because tanks won't know if their team's following in or not. So if a tank gets isolated, they might overcommit to a fight that's bad. Then I go Primal Rage, and then also Isolation. When you upgrade it to Contagion, it's just game ending. Then I go Primal Rage, which increases your attack damage, and it synergizes really well with Tissue Regen because you get 60% extra attack damage. And then I pick Elongated Tongue so that I can be like Elon Musk. No, so I get that increased range makes it easier to land it when you're just throwing it out randomly. And I might need to rewind a little bit to get... Well, I mean, I just go for Contagion at the end, which is when you land your Isolation on one target, it splashes to any nearby targets. If you can land a Contagion on 3 people, you win the game. So that's pretty much the build on Dehaka. He is a bruiser that can be kind of an off tank that brings a little bit of CC, brings a lot of value in macro. We can see this game, we're 3 levels ahead of the enemy, despite the fact we lost the first objective of the game. And it's primarily, I mean, we pretty much had 2 solo laners, but primarily because our solo laners were able to constantly be applying pressure and constantly getting value out of it. So that is what I recommend out of Dehaka, a very straightforward, but the 4 major mistakes, just to go over it again. Don't Z to the opposite lane of the objective, because then you won't have it for the next objective. Walk there. Use your Q from bushes to set up kills. It's so much easier when they're walking towards you than when they're walking away. Try to dig into bushes that are closer to the fight, like sometimes even in the middle of the fight, because then it's easy to get in a bush and immediately pull someone, like I did with Alex Straza in an earlier fight. And try not to use your W until you get in the middle of a wave. Those are the 4 major ones. Then there's also some other minor mistakes, like not using your tongue on structures to get that extra damage. And some small ones like dodging things, using your trait a little bit early before you kill minions to get extra health. There's a lot of little things. Hopefully this game helped you guys with all of the mistakes that you might be making in Dehaka, and it was just a little guide on how to play Dehaka in general. He's a really fun hero to play, I'll just say that. But thank you guys for watching, and feel free to check out my other videos.